Well, morning again all. We're into day 2 of cleaning this engine. We are in a right mess, but I'd rather get it all done in one go and then have a really good clean up of the workshop than repeat this weekend after weekend. It's 31st of December 2023. I've got tomorrow off as well because it's New Year's Day and we'll probably be cleaning tomorrow. So today, just to recap where we are, we've washed the front yesterday. We've washed the offside of the engine yesterday and we've got some bits off there. This morning I managed to clean up the top of the bell housing and get the old paint off it. And the next job is pump off. Well, actually the next job is oil filter off because I'm going to drain that. I've made myself a Cummins specialist tool that fits on the trampoline based engine stand, and we're going to get the pump off and probably the compressor. We'll just have to see how time goes. And the missus is bringing me a cup of coffee. Magnificent. That's the pipe that supplies the fuel from the fuel solenoid up to the injectors. The other side is the return, which comes in there. So we'll get him off next. Right, so we've got the pipe off of the back of the return side. The hard one is this one. Would always recommend, if you're doing these, do not attempt them unless you've got the correct pipe spanner, because they are very reluctant to come out. On this application, again, it might vary with being American, we've got a 7/16 nut here on the pipe, but this fitting, this intermediate fitting, is 1/4 width. I don't know whether the Americans have their own version of 1/4 width, but that's ours. That took some holding steady. And I've said before, you know, if you can, try and use a decent spanner on stuff like this, because once you've cracked it off, you still need the right size, because otherwise you're going to do some damage. And some of these parts, I mean, fair enough you could make this, but some of these parts are irreplaceable. It's funky smelling diesel, that is. That's the stop solenoid. We'll probably pull that off once we've got the pump itself off, but the next job really is to get the pump off. Right, to get the pump off now, all we've got to do is undo this ring of bolts. We want to remember this because this is the return spring pull for the throttle. I mean, obviously I'm going to tidy it up, but equally I don't want to forget about it either, because that's just another job if we forget about it, isn't it? 7/16 UNC, 5/8 head. A couple of these are quite awkward. This top one at the back isn't terrible. Don't be tempted to undo that one until you've got the others undone, because then you'll be holding the pump up. Well, say that, sometimes you don't move. We've obviously got the luxury of doing this outside of the chassis. Sometimes if you're doing it inside the chassis, you need a C-spanner just to get past everything. There we go. There she is. And that's why you want to leave that one until last. I've got it supported, I've taken the bolt out. That's now in the box with the other ones and everything's pretty good. There we go, one Cummins PT pump removed, exposing even more dirt to clean up. The pump drive feels absolutely solid, and quite often, you know, these do break up, so you can see the cut of this one. It's not great, so we're obviously going to replace that. Well, here we go again. We've got the compressor off now, we've got this oil filter housing off, and we've just got a really dirty engine to clean up this side. So, you know, we're back to let's just get cleaned up. Lovely. Not a time to be shy with the penetrating fluid here. So it's a 1/4 Whitworth to lock this this union into the injector. The pipe itself 7/16, and all I'm doing is slackening them with the pipe wrench and then undoing them the rest of the way with a proper combo spanner. And so far, even though we've only done 3, they've come apart a treat. Right, well, I suppose somewhat unsurprisingly, the two at the back, the 2 pipes at the back here, are giving us a bit of grief, and that'll be because they are, you know, right at the back. The cab would have come down here and they were probably exposed to the elements somewhat. Both of them are holding on to the pipe, not spinning the union, so we'll give them a little bit of heat and see how we fare. That's got that one. That one's loose. That one's still tight. Right. So he's had another wire brushing and obviously a bit more heat, so hopefully he's going to do the business for us. He's not happy. I think we'll let him have the soak treatment for a bit. Now we've at last got some movement on it. Patience has been the name of the game there. Fastened to the block on these 3 studs here, or these 3 bolts. So we'll put them in for safekeeping, and they can get painted at the same time. We'll get this in the wash pile. Right, well, we've had a bit of a turn up today. I wanted to paint the engine yesterday, but I couldn't because it was too damp. The engine was, it was so humid and, you know, damp in the air that the engine was wet through. So I started some other projects this morning, but actually the wind's quite crisp now. The engine's dry, so it's about 11 degrees now, and that was the dew point yesterday. I've had a quick look on the website and it says dew point is 9 degrees now, so we're 2 degrees above. I think we can get this painted, certainly in primer, before we need to worry about any dampness in the air. Right, let's get some paint together. I'm just going to be using this 1K Churchill's etch primer because I find it pretty good as long as you don't put too much on at once, and I find it adheres well to the aluminium as well as the steel, and it's quite good in cool temperatures, and as you've just seen it's about 11 degrees, so I've had some good results with it. I know for some reason some people can be a bit snobby about it, but I've always found it alright. Right, well, we're all geared up, so I'm going to get my mask on and we'll whack some paint on. I decided not to take the exhaust manifold off. I just think that's going to be more hassle than it's worth. I talked to Steve Mail some time ago, and that NTE 290 of his in that Fleetmaster, he painted that in, and like he said, just paint it and it'll burn it off. So we're going to do that rather than risk breaking bolts. Right, let's get on with it. I'll see you in a minute or two. Right, well, we've got the extra lighting on the job, which really does help when we're looking at that first coat. I think, as you can see, she's gone on reasonably good. I do expect to do some local touching up with this as we go, and a good example of that is down here, down there, where we've just had a bit of goo that we didn't just get clean enough. But you're not going to see most of this, obviously, and a lot of this paint is just about the build preparation, and obviously we'll do some touch up. I did toy with doing the alley covers and alley rocker housings in just aluminium, and I've decided against it because I've looked at that many pictures of them on the internet. I think that'll do. We'll get a second coat on now. Right, day's got away from me a bit now. We've been out with Sky, the new pup, and that took up a couple of hours, and then I won a dog guard on eBay, so I've been to Knutsford and picked that up for Big H's Evoke. So it's now cracking on, and I've not got the colour on this, but we're still around 10 degrees. The floor's wet, but nothing else is. We've not hit that dew point yet, so I'm not too concerned. So I've got my 500ml of colour mixed, ready to go, so I'm going to whack that on now. Obviously going to take the camera out because I don't want to get that covered in paint. So I'll either bring you back later this evening or in the morning and see what we've got. Overall, that undercoat's gone on really well. If this was a finished panel or something like that, that we'd see more of and we wanted a decent finish, we'd obviously hit that with iBuild now, but we're not bothered about a smooth finish. We just want a colour finish now and good adhesion, and we've definitely got that, I think, with that etch primer. Super. Right, well that's gone on really well. There are bits it could be better, no two ways about it. Engine weren't just as clean as I'd like it to have been, but we're in a situation where we've got to get on with it, and yeah, that's alright. I've opened up the door, I've opened up both doors. A number of reasons for that. The obvious one is get the yellow overspray in the fog out of the garage. A few people walking past, so if they report into work they've got jaundice in the morning, I'll take responsibility for that. But the other reason, of course, is to make the paint go off quicker. And in my experience, spraying it about 10 degrees, plenty of fresh air once you've got it on, and letting it cool helps it harden. There are a couple of spots that I probably will touch with a brush, maybe, depends what it's like when it sits in the chassis. Almost certainly scratch it when we're fitting it in the chassis, so we'll go over it. So overall, very successful for my money. I'll do a quick walk round it. I need to leave it a few days to harden off properly before we start trying to get it off the trolley. But the next thing to do is get the chassis rails in, get the trestle set up, and let's try and build it into the chassis. So yeah, see how we go.